Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are the Lions.
Well, after a win yesterday in San Diego to wrap up that series, this three-city, 10-game road trip continues for the Reds in Los Angeles. It's the Reds and the Dodgers here on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi, and a pleasant Thursday evening, everyone, and welcome to Reds Baseball. Along with Chris Wells, Jim Couch, game one of this four-game series, the Reds and the Dodgers. And Chris, we'll look at the pitching matchup in this one because while we're going to talk about Kivas Sampson first, it's Matt Latos that we really are going to key in on here. But let's start with the right-hander of the Reds, Kivas Sampson.
Well, Kivas has really earned himself a spot in the rotation so far. He's thrown the ball very well each and every time he's gone out there. I like him from a pitching standpoint. He's got good carry on a four-seam fastball, a really good curveball. I mean, it is right over the top type of a curveball. So he's a young man that when he starts breaking that pitch out, that can be a great equalizer. Picked up his first win against the Arizona Diamondbacks on Saturday, and he's roaring to go here at Dodger Stadium tonight.
All right, well, the Dodgers will counter then with the former Red Matt Latos. Latos is a guy that we thought we were going to see in July right near the All-Star break for the Marlins, but he had an injured foot, couldn't pitch in that game. And with all the comments that went on back and forth during spring training, this will make for an interesting night.
I mean, don't you miss emotions when you're not in the pennant chase and now you have to look somewhere else to find your way to get fired up? I mean, when you're 20 games out, you finally have something to get fired up about. Matt Latos is on the mound. He shot off. He's a loose cannon, and he shot off during the spring training, all sorts of stuff, and the Reds came back on him. Well, now's the chance for the Reds to settle the score with Matt Latos, if they think there is one, on the field tonight.
He's made 3 starts for the Dodgers thus far. The first one, very good. The last one against Pittsburgh, not so good.
Well, he was sidelined this year with a knee injury, but when he came back from that knee injury in June, I can tell you that he's been a very, very good pitcher until the last outing he had against the Pittsburgh Pirates. His earned run average since that time was under 3. He had thrown almost 55 innings, so when he's on his game, we've seen him pitch some really good baseball, and believe it, he loves to compete, and he will be very ready for the Reds tonight.
He has faced the Reds, of course, before. That was when he was a member of the Miami Marlins, so we'll see what happens there. All right, tonight, game one of this 4-game series, the Reds and the Los Angeles Dodgers from famous Dodger Stadium. We'll take a break. When we come back, second half struggles for the two that were in the championship match of the Home Run Derby, Frazier and Peterson.
Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. I'm Jim Day here in Dodger Stadium. This is the first time that Jock Peterson and Todd Frazier will be reunited since the two hooked up in the finals of the Home Run Derby in Cincinnati. Jock Peterson put on a show. In fact, he had 6 home runs in a row at one point in the finals and moved to 14 total. Had the longest home run of the night at 487 feet, so a lot of pressure on Frazier. And while Peterson put on a show, Frazier stole the show. He tied him with 14 in his 4 minutes. Then his first swing in his extra 30 seconds, he launched the first pitch out to become your home run derby champion in that bracketed single elimination format. Now, should we read anything into these numbers? Since the All-Star break, a lot of people say it messes up your swing. Todd Frazier disagrees, but the numbers suggest that both guys have struggled since that home run derby, except Todd Frazier of late has busted out. 2 games ago, he had a 3-hit game, including a mammoth home run. Had a double yesterday. I talked to him today about this, and he said, it's ridiculous to think that it would ruin my swing. I'm just going through a stretch that's bad. The last 2 games, he's felt like himself. He feels like he's going to be the Todd Frazier that we're used to the rest of the season, and they certainly need him so in a stadium like Dodger Stadium, facing a lineup like they are facing. Reds and the Dodgers, first of 4. Reds hoping to continue some success here at Chavez. Jim Couch and Chris Welsh are next with the play-by-play action Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
First time this year, they are the 14th and final National League team for the Reds to play, and it won't be long until the Dodgers come back to Cincinnati. It'll be the next homestand. The Reds play the first of 4 here tonight, 3 night games and a day game here against Don Mattingly's club. Take a look at the Reds starting lineup, brought to you by Meyer. Phillips, Suarez, and Votto the top 3. It's Frazier, Bruce, and Bird in the middle. Tucker Barnhart does the catching. He's 7th. Kivas Sampson 8th. Billy Hamilton ninth against the former Red right-hander Matt Latos. He talked about one good, one bad start so far for him as a Dodger.
Well, the sample size here in Los Angeles certainly isn't as much as they had hoped to have. But, you know, when the Dodgers went out to look for a pitcher, they needed somebody to complement their top two. I mean, after all, when they sent Clayton Kershaw and Zach Greinke out there back-to-back days, those are two of the best pitchers in baseball right now. So it drops off significantly after that. That's why they picked up Latos. They hope that he can pitch as well as he began to pitch after he came back this summer, from a knee injury that set him back. You know what kind of competitor he is. You know what he can do when he's on. His fastball's been coming back a little bit, little by little. He's added up to 94, 95 miles an hour a couple of times here later in the season.
Here he is making his 19th start of the year, his third for the Dodgers. He gets the first pitch in there for a strike in this game, and this series is underway. Phillips out of the starting lineup yesterday, but did appear as a pinch hitter, had a base hit. Starts the night at .288 with 8 home runs. And he gets a base hit here into left field to get this game started off the glove of the third baseman Callaspo down there. And Phillips is on to get this game started.
Shortstop number 7.
Take a look at the Dodgers defensively behind Latos. Brought to you by your Ford dealers. They line up like this: Ethier, Peterson, and Puig from left to right. Callaspo, Rollins, Kike Hernandez at second base, Adrian Gonzalez at first, a battery of Matt Latos and A.J. Ellis, who is the backup catcher this year. He was the pretty much everyday catcher 1 year ago. 81 degrees here at Dodger Stadium as we get this game started. Here's Eugenio Suarez. By the way, on that Phillips ball, they ruled that an E5 on the third baseman Alberto Callaspo. So no hit for Phillips, but still a base runner to get things started.
You know, when Matt Latos was in Cincinnati, one thing that I think he appreciated as much as anybody is the defense the Reds gave him. I mean, he couldn't believe how well the Reds were able to catch and throw.
Runner takes off and out the call at second base. Hernandez took the throw from A.J. Ellis. Let's see if the Reds will let to take a look at this.
Ellis is not the front line catcher, but he makes a nice play right there as he throws it right on the button. Looks like the tag is high, but it's just in time before Brandon Phillips gets his hand in there. So they erase the error just like that.
Phillips had been caught stealing just one time this year. He's caught here. And now Callaspo will throw out Suarez. So just like that, they're our team out.
First baseman number 19, Joey Votto.
And now will be Joey Votto. There's a few players on this Reds team that have faced Latos before: Votto, Phillips, Frazier, Bruce, and Marlon Byrd. Nobody a lot. In fact, Votto and Byrd have faced him 9 times. That's the most. Votto 1 for 9 lifetime against Matt Latos. Votto starts today at .304. That has him tied for 9th in the National League in hitting. Home runs, 54 runs batted in, and a big offensive day for Votto yesterday. 3 hits, including a 2-run home run in the 9th inning.
You know, we ran some comments, Jim, in the pregame show. about what Matt Latos said about the Reds and the clubhouse and the trainers, and all of those were things that he probably should not have said. Obviously, he probably regretted them as soon as they came out of his mouth. In fact, he said they were off the record, which evidently they were not. But I do not remember Joey Votto making any kind of a retort. Just kind of kept it into himself and said, hey, you know, I'll do the damage with the bat if I can, and he almost does.
He's robbed of extra bases by Andre Ethier going full out toward the left center field alley. And the Reds have 3 batters and out thanks to a very nice defensive play by Andre Ethier. This first place Dodger club has the advantage in the National League's West Division by 3.5 over San Francisco. And Chris was talking earlier about the fact that they come into this game with back-to-back shutouts. We'll talk more about that as we move along tonight, as Jimmy Rollins, a former Philly, longtime Philly, walks to the plate to lead things off for L.A. He'll be followed by Kike Hernandez and Gonzalez. In the middle, it's Ethier, Puig, and Callaspo. Jock Peterson, 7th, is in center. A.J. Ellis catches, and Matt Latos does the pitching for the Dodgers. On the mound for the Reds, young man, 24 years old, Kivas Sampson.
Yeah, really the only advice you ought to give Kivas Sampson, because he's throwing the ball so well, is when you get to Dodger Stadium, do not look up, because what you'll see is about 5 rows or 5 different sections of seats, one on top of another. Can be a very imposing sight for a young pitcher taking the mound here for the first time.
Well, he kept his head down apparently the last time out when he pitched in Arizona. In that game, 1 run, 4 hits in 6 innings, picking up his first big league win against the Diamondbacks in that 4-1 win. This ball hit hard, but right at Bruce and right by Rollins, and a good start for Sampson and the Reds here in the bottom of the first.
Second baseman, number 14.
The Reds defensively behind Kivas Sampson, brought to you by your Ford dealers. It's Bird, Hamilton, and Bruce across the outfield. Frazier, Suarez, Phillips, Votto third to first. Tucker Barnhart does the catching of Kivas Sampson tonight. Here's Kike Hernandez playing second base. Howie Kendrick is on the disabled list for this Dodger club. In fact, they switched out their keystone combination over the offseason, bringing in Jimmy Rollins, bringing in Howie Kendrick. Rollins has been their everyday guy at shortstop, as Kendrick has been at second, but he's out now with an injury, and Kike Hernandez gets the start here tonight. He's hitting .278, 5 home runs on the year.
He's just a young guy, Hernandez is. He's only 23 years old, from Puerto Rico. His real name is Enrique Hernandez. Kike sounds a little better, has a nice little ring to it. One thing the Dodgers really like about him, and he was originally drafted by the Astros and traded around a little bit before he ended up here, but he can play just about any position on the field this side of catching and pitching.
He is rung up here by the home plate umpire Ed Hickox. And the first strikeout for Sampson, the second out of the inning.
Well, if you stay on a corner like this, if you are Kevin Sampson, you're going to have great success because most hitters are just going to give up on that pitch. You see just a portion of the baseball touch the outside corner of the plate. Can't make them any better than that.
So first two retired, and here's the veteran Adrian Gonzalez. Gonzalez, an all-star this year for the Dodgers for the 5th time in his career. Very productive numbers at .292 and 22 long ones. Former long-time Padre. Brief stint in Boston and now is settled in again out here on the West Coast with this Dodger team. Signed that long-term deal when he went to Boston, but still has, after this year, 3 years remaining. He's not a free agent again until 2019.
Well, the Dodgers, that's the same old song that they're singing about just about everybody on this roster. They have over $300 million committed in guaranteed contracts to players that are on their roster right now. Gonzalez, a 5-time All-Star. 3 times with the Padres, once with the Red Sox, and once this year when he came back to Cincinnati as a member of the Dodgers.
Out in front there, and now is it 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, that's a true curveball that Sampson throws. There aren't all that many pitchers with his kind of fastball that opt for the curve. So many of them have gone by way of the slider, and you can see that downward break. Scouts call that pitch having a lot of depth.
Sampson, 24 years old, native of Gainesville, Florida, came to the Reds by way of a claim from the San Diego Padres, and boy, he just misses right there. Claimed in January from the Padres by the Reds. Had some time early in the year on the disabled list with a right forearm strain, but he has shot through the Reds organization. He wants Gonzalez, so that's the first base runner of the game for L.A. Ryan Price thought that thing was right on the inside corner, it appears, with exasperation on his face. Here now is Andre Ethier. Ethier starts the game at .286 with a dozen home runs. Ethier playing left field, batting in the cleanup spot. The left field position has really been a tough one for the Dodgers this year. Carl Crawford was out there on opening day, but as has been the story, it seems for him ever since he left Tampa Bay, there's always an injury that is involved, and he spent time on the disabled list this year. They've used Crawford, they've used Ethier, they've used Alex Guerrero, they've used Scott Van Slyke. Revolving door at third, revolving door in the left field, it seems like, for this Dodger team this year.
And still, with all that said, the Dodgers are still in command, at least temporarily, in this division. They're not really worried about the teams behind them, but they played really well against the teams in this division that they should beat, like the Arizona Diamondbacks and Colorado and San Diego. They got excellent records against those teams.
Base hit going the other way for Ethier. That's going to get Gonzalez to third. The throw comes in from Bird to second. In there with a 2-base hit is Andre Ethier. Ethier's 13th two-base hit of the year. After the first two retired, the next two have reached.
Pretty fancy hitting right here by Andre Ethier. We've seen him for so many years, and he seems to be able to bring his A game every time the Reds come to town. And he just hits them where they ain't. They've got a big shift around, and Ethier beats that by going the other way.
Well, Sampson now needs to bear down and get Yasiel Puig to hang a 0 here in the bottom of the first inning. 2-out walk and a close pitch to Gonzalez. An opposite field double by Andre Ethier. And now it's Puig. Only 243, only 9 homers, only 34 runs batted in. Mighty cut there and a miss by Puig for strike one. Blocked by Barnhart, may have saved a run there. 1 ball and 1 strike. Tucker has been behind the plate for all 3 of the big league starts for Kivas Sampson. His starting debut 11 days ago at home against the Pirates, and then that victory on Saturday in Arizona. Puig in his 3rd big league year, burst onto the scene 2013, was 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting that year.
Thought he had a big year last year when he made the All-Star team, ended the year with a .296 batting average and 16 home runs. This year his offense has fallen off a little bit, but he can still hit the fastball.
He missed about 6 weeks earlier this year with a left hamstring strain. That was most of the month of May into early June. Sampson misses there, and now he's fallen behind 3-1.
You know, Puig is kind of interesting just from the technical standpoint. Where you watch him stand in the batter's box, he stands really where no other hitters really like to stand. He's nearly in the very front of the box. Doesn't quite come to the point where he steps out of the box, but he does step on that front line when he takes his front stride almost. Most guys are all the way back where the chalk is in the back. And that's a good spot to throw it again if you got one left in you, Kivas. Looking for a 3-1 fastball, and that's what happens when you get the 3-1 curve.
Suarez will make the play. Puig is out, and Kivas Sampson works around the walk and the double in the bottom of the first.
I'm Jim Day. Matt Latos goes for a second inning of work. You heard Chris Welsh talk about the comments that he made after being traded from Cincinnati to Miami. And let's revisit those. He said, we had starters in there cattle roping or clubbies. We had a closer in there sleeping until the 7th inning. We lost that veteran leadership. That's what happens. You can't have that. It turns into a circus. Now, the Reds in spring training at Goodyear, Arizona, Homer Bailey said if it was a court of law, the cross-examination would go after the credibility of the witness, and Skip Schumacher really pointed comments, as you saw. I think it was addition by subtraction. Now, that was when the emotions were high. There has not much been said since, and not much said in the Reds clubhouse today. Brian Price even says he thinks it's water under the bridge. So far, no emotions in this one.
Thank you, Jim Day. Well, we all know that Matt Latos is a very emotional guy. When he's pitching, you mentioned earlier, he's a fun-loving guy who, goodness knows, every day would mess with Jim Day down in the dugout when he was not pitching. So he's one of those guys that likes to fool around a lot, doesn't he?
Well, you know, it may be his perception, but you're wondering if there wasn't even a thread of truth, at least from his eyes, of what he said about the clubhouse. I mean, is this the best clubhouse you've ever been in, Major League clubhouse? I mean, we go into the opposing clubhouses all the time, talk to different people that cover other teams, and, you know, maybe it's an overrated thing having a good clubhouse, but I can tell you that winning teams are into the ballgame a little bit. And Matt, I know he called out certain players. You should never say things about the training staff that worked so hard to get you back on the field. I think he probably regretted that immediately. But at the same time, you got to ask yourself, well, was it only his perception, or are there issues in the Reds clubhouse?
Well, generally speaking, when you make comments like that, you read comments like that, there are two sides to that story. We heard his side. We heard some of the comments, as Jim was alluding to, from the Reds side of things. And then it disappeared. That was early in March when those comments were made. So from a Reds standpoint, they would love nothing better than to be able to get the best of Latos tonight, and certainly the reverse would be true for Matt Latos against his former club.
Well, it gives everybody a little extra motivation, and if you're looking for a subplot to see where that motivation lies, I mean, you don't have to go very far. It's 60 feet away from you.
Of course, you can't deny the good things that, and you mentioned it earlier, the good things that he did while he wore a Reds uniform. 2 times he was a 14-game winner. And the job he did in the first game of the NLDS out in San Francisco, and Johnny Cueto was hurt. It was big time.
Well, the guy's a good pitcher. I mean, the Reds wouldn't have gone out and traded 4 players to the San Diego Padres if Matt Latos wasn't a quality pitcher. And they gave away a lot of good talent. 2 of those players, by the way, came back to Cincinnati this year as all-stars. So that's the caliber that Latos was when the Reds wanted to get him. Twice won 14 games, as you said. And in the absence of Johnny Cueto, there were times when he was the ace of the staff.
One of those players that they traded away is now the everyday catcher here, Yasmani Grandal, an all-star.
And I think the addition of Matt Latos to the roster actually helped Homer Bailey ratchet his game up a little bit. I mean, you always want to have a little internal competition, and the more good players you have on your team, the more that competition will get better and better. Healthy competition, that is.
Well, his numbers with the Marlins this year, 4-7, with right near a 4.5 ERA, and so there are those, I'm sure, that were saying, well, why would the Dodgers go out and get him? Bird breaks his bat, but the last 4 starts he made for Miami, all quality starts, 2 of them wins. He went 6, he went 7, he went 7, and he went 6. He's really pitching well for them when the trade occurred.
Well, he finally got injury free. You know, he had some elbow problems over the years. He had some knee problems. And when you're a pitcher and you've got problems with your legs, you're never going to be able to get to the potential that you should be. So the Dodgers just may have received Matt Latos at the right time. Because if Latos pitches to his capability and he puts a string together the way he did when he was with the Reds, I mean, you're talking about running out Zach Greinke, Clayton Kershaw, and then Matt Latos in a 3-game series somewhere, and that's a pretty good trio. And I think that's what Don Mattingly is counting on. There's Clayton Kershaw right there.
Kershaw threw the shutout last night. Tuesday it was Zach Greinke against the Washington Nationals. Dodgers, in fact, came into this game with 19 consecutive scoreless innings from their pitching staff. Back-to-back shutouts. They lead the big leagues. This Dodger staff does in shutouts, with 17 of them this year.
Well, the one thing to look at with Latos, and I noticed this over the years, on those nights when he had his good fastball, he was usually pretty much on board with the rest of his stuff as well. We've already seen it touching 94. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets that up a mile or so, you know, as he gets into the flow of the game a little bit.
He paints the outside part of the plate there, gets the strikeout here in the top of the second, in a 1-2-3 second inning. Winning percentage at Dodger Stadium all time by a visiting team. Nobody's won at least half their games here, but the Reds are just behind the Cardinals for the second best all-time winning percentage here at Dodger Stadium at .467.
Well, that might be all time, but lately it has not been as good as that at all. In fact, the Reds have lost 20 of the last 28 games played here in Los Angeles. And the last 10 years, the Dodgers have lost only 2 home series to the Reds. So this place, Chavez Ravine Dodger Stadium, is almost as difficult a place for the Reds to win as is Busch Stadium in St. Louis.
There's Donnie Baseball. Don Mattingly, the skipper of this club, replaced Joe Torre as the manager out here after being the hitting coach of the Yankees. Came out here west with Joe Torre, looking to get this club back into the playoffs for the 3rd consecutive year. They've had trouble, of course, in the postseason with the Cardinals. Lost last year in the division series to St. Louis. 2 years ago, lost in the league championship series to the Cardinals. Alberto Callaspo leads things off here in the bottom of the second, hitting at .239 with 1 home run. Third base, another spot for this Dodger team that has been a little bit different for them. They had Jose Uribe play there earlier in the year. Justin Turner. Turner recently came off the disabled list. In fact, came off today. Uribe had been traded away to the Braves, so they've gone through him down there at the hot corner. Batter now will be Jock Peterson. highly touted rookie with his Dodger club. Came up late last year and pretty much was penciled in as their everyday guy in center field in the offseason. Boy, he got off to a great start, but did that comparison between he and Todd Frazier, the two finalists in the Home Run Derby this year at Great American Ballpark, and what they have done since the break. Frazier 177, Peterson 176. Frazier, though, has been showing signs of coming out of it. Really can't say the same for this guy, Peterson.
Well, if you watch Peterson, just watch his approach when he takes a pitch. You see he's got a lot of moving parts. He's got a big stride, long swing, and that long swing has lent itself to a lot of strikeouts.
In the hole now, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Peterson has struck out 134 times in 374 at bats this year. Those strikeouts, 134 of them. Second in the National League. Oddly enough, another rookie, Chris Bryant of the Cubs, is number 1.
I mean, even when he takes a pitch like that, he doesn't appear to me like he's really in balance. I mean, his foot is down, looks like it's a little bit late, his head is kind of drifting over the plate. You know, you want to stay as compact as possible in just about everything you do athletically. And especially when it comes to hitting, so that you can get the bat head under control as it goes through the hitting zone. That looked like a home run derby swing.
He hit right near the 300 mark at 298 the first month of the year, but his average has gone down every month since that time. Despite that, he was a starting left fielder for the National League All-Stars in Cincinnati this year. A.J. Ellis, the catcher, waits on deck for this first place Dodger club. We mentioned that the Reds and the Dodgers meeting for the first time this year. This is the last National League team the Reds will play this year that they have not played yet. The Dodgers will be right back into Cincinnati then the 25th through the 27th of this month, Tuesday through Thursday. A couple of night games and a day game. Second walk by Kivas Sampson. The one-out base runner for Los Angeles.
Catcher number 17.
Just as a reminder, as you enjoyed tonight's game, we look forward a little bit later on to bringing you our Miller Time moment of the night, brought to you by Miller Lite. Batter now will be A.J. Ellis.
A.J. actually from Reds country. He's from Lexington, Kentucky. Went to Dunbar High School down there before doing his collegiate work at Austin Peay. They've got his number and name retired down there on the fence at Dunbar High School.
Shoots this ball to right. Bruce got a good read on it. Backpedals and make the catch out there for out number 2.
You know, the one common theme that I've seen among all the young Reds pitchers when they've come up, and this goes to show you that they're getting some awfully good coaching down in the minor leagues, is that each and every one of these pitchers has been able to throw consistently strikes and good strikes to the first base side of home plate. And it's not an easy thing to do for right-handers to control that. But that has been the key for Kivas Sampson, at least over the last few starts, ever since he moved from that third base side of the rubber over to the first base side of the rubber. If you notice his delivery, he throws a little bit across his body. So if you move your whole body all the way over to the third base side of the rubber, and you throw across your body, meaning you step, towards the third base dugout. Now you got to come almost crossfire back home. It's really hard to get that ball over to the first base side of home plate, which is away to right-handers. But Teddy Powers suggested he shift over there, and he toyed with it a little bit. He never really did it. And his success throughout all of his starts really with Louisville were good and bad. I mean, he had a good game, he had a bad game. But when he finally committed himself to getting over there on the first base side of that pitching rubber is when he twirled an 8-inning, I think a shutout game, and next thing you know, he's calling up to start in the big leagues.
Well, we mentioned earlier it's been a real whirlwind for him, a guy that started in Double-A, then to Triple-A, and now here in the big leagues. And he rings up Latos to put an end to the bottom of the second. Through 2 here, Chavez Ravine, scoreless baseball.
Deal will be the first to make it to the big club. He will make his major league debut tomorrow night. I talked to manager Brian Price about it.
I think it's something that John earned, really, the way he was pitching in AAA with Kansas City when we got him. I believe he was 9-1 at the time. Really good numbers, and he's throwing the ball well for our AAA club. And it's going to be unusual for him, I'm sure. There's a newness to the new organization. He goes to AAA and makes a few starts, and all of a sudden he's in the big leagues with a group of people he doesn't know. So, we're excited to have him in the organization and to be able to provide him a well-earned opportunity to make his debut on Friday.
10-2 record this season at a couple teams at AAA. 2.67 ERA. Made 3 starts with the Louisville Bats, and he is now with the Reds as Tucker Barnhart steps in. And guys, he is in the dugout. There you see John Lamb right there, ironically wearing Johnny Cueto's number 47. Now Sam LeCure, who's with the Louisville Bats, who we all know well, tweeted out that he thinks the Reds fans are really going to like John Lamb. A really good kid, a little spacey, he says, but in a good way. A beautiful left arm, and wishes him nothing but luck. So John Lamb going to be on the big stage tomorrow night.
Beautiful tattooed left arm, and by the looks of things, he has a lot of Matt Latos in him. He's got the tattoos on both the right and the left arm to make his big league debut out here in California, where he hails from. And
well, I think if the Reds figured out a way to have him pitch the way that Matt Latos did while he was in a Reds uniform, they'd be mighty happy with that.
Tucker Barnhart shoots one the other way. He gets himself a base hit. That's the first Reds hit of this game. Left fielder will get that ball back in. Andre Ethier, and Tucker Barnhart gets his 4th hit in 5 at-bats on this road trip.
Well, we've seen a number of ground balls and left-handed hitters going the other way tonight. Tucker hits this ball right out of A.J. Ellis's catcher's mitt, it looks like. so late on that swing, and he finds that spot down the third baseline, which is almost always open.
Well, Barnhart out at second base with that 2-base hit, his 5th of the year. He had 3 hits on Tuesday when he made the start in San Diego, and he gets the base hit here. Reds try to break through first in the top of the 3rd. Here's Kivas Sampson. Wants to move that runner along if possible. He'll lay down the bunt and get the job done as the second baseman Hernandez will take the throw. Sacrifice goes 1-4 for the first out of the inning, and Barnhart now 90 feet away.
Center fielder number 6.
Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag #OhioDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Again, hashtag #OhioDataStrongFan. Let's see what you have.
Be really interesting to see what the Reds do right here, whether they want to have Billy maybe lay a bunt down. It could be a safety squeeze. It could be a real squeeze. You see the third baseman Callaspo coming in. And in front of the bag at first base is Adrian Gonzalez.
Reds have had 3 suicide squeeze bunts this year. Another one is the safety squeeze by Mike Leake. Hamilton does have one of the successful suicide squeezes by the Reds this year. He doesn't need it here as he shoots that ball in the hole and out into left field. Base hit for Billy Hamilton. Barnhart scores, and the Reds strike first on this one with a run here in the 3rd.
Boy, I gotta love that swing from Billy Hamilton right there. Just trying to slap the ball, keep it out of the air, taking it the other way. Not trying to do too much by trying to pull that ball and do anything for it. Latos has a nice run on his fastball. Not necessarily a lot of sink, but he has a run that'll go from the inside to away from a left-handed hitter, and you've got to be willing to take it that way. So now Billy Hamilton presents a little problem for Matt Latos on the base paths.
Second RBI of the road trip for Billy Hamilton, his 26th of the year, and now, yeah, we'll watch this matchup. Latos pitching, Hamilton at first base. Latos steps off and lobs that ball over there. 18 starts this year. Opponents have stolen 13 bases against Latos.
And they did that when he was with the Reds as well. Always had a more difficult time keeping runners at first base, and that one going down the right field line.
Billy's going to get to second, and he's going to easily get to third as Gonzalez chased that ball down. Billy looked over his shoulder, said there's no way that Adrian Gonzalez is going to get to that ball before I can get halfway to third. Billy goes all the way from one corner to another. Now he's 90 feet away, and there's that speed putting on the pressure.
Now, Matt had not picked off a runner since 2012. And he thinks he's got Billy Hamilton leaning right there, and the ball gets by Adrian Gonzalez. Yeah, that's usually a poor decision by a right-handed pitcher, because chances are you're simply not going to pick a runner off first base unless the guy's sleeping. You know, you can step off and throw over, and you can do the courtesy throws over, but really where your intent should be focused is on being compact to the plate, holding the ball different periods of time before you go, and not trying to pick a guy off, because more often than not you'll see it go down that right field line.
Reds will now try to take advantage of that with Phillips at the plate. Latos charged, by the way, with the throwing error. So here's a Dodger team that came into this game the best defensive team in the National League and just below Baltimore for the best defensive team in the big leagues, and they've committed 2 errors here in the first 3 innings of this game.
Now, Matt Latos has always been a fly ball pitcher, so chances are good for Brandon Phillips to get a little elevation and drive him in at least with a fly ball, if not with a base hit.
He does it with a base hit up the middle for Brandon Phillips, who's been a good hitter with runners in scoring position this year for the Reds. He gets RBI number 41. Hamilton scores, and it is 2-0 Cincinnati.
Brandon with the no stride swing that time. I mean, really didn't even get his leg off the ground. Just picks his heel up a little bit in order to be ready and takes it right back through the middle. Boy, a frustrating inning from Matt Latos, which you can really compound right now with a couple of more hits. He ran into early game trouble his last time out, that against the Pittsburgh Pirates. In fact, he gave up a home run in the second inning to the opposing pitcher, Francisco Liriano, in that game. Gave up a home run to Neil Walker the inning after that, and he was gone after 4 innings and giving up 6 runs.
Suarez grounded out to the third baseman his first time. He's seeing Latos for the first time in his career, is of course with the Tigers last year. Gets under this ball and sends it into center field. Peterson is there. Peterson makes the catch for the second out.
Boy, pretty good arm Peterson showed on that. Because Billy Hamilton as Brandon Phillips went back to the bag to think, well, you know, if he nonchalants it out there, I may just steal the bag on him right here. But Peterson had nothing to do with that. A crisp one hopper right through the bag.
Two out now for Joey Votto. Votto robbed of a hit. Probably an extra base hit his first time by Andre Ethier out in left center field on a running grab of his line drive. Joey yesterday broke out of a 1-for-17 dry spell with 3 hits, a couple of singles, RBI hit in the first inning, and then he capped off the Reds scoring with that 2-run homer in the 9th, his 20th of the year. Jim Day talked to him on the post-game show. Good breaking ball there by Latos, and he gets ahead of Votto 0-2.
Well, the Dodgers are #1 in attendance in the National League, and I know that they're a late arriving crowd, although it's another near sellout tonight. It holds a bundle of people here, over 55,000 people. But they are mighty quiet right now. I mean, there you can hear the concessionaires way down the left field line selling their wares.
One of them saw you raise your hand wanting a hot dog, a Dodger dog. Check swing and an appeal, and yes, says Mike Estabrook. Votto went around, he strikes out. Third strikeout for Latos, but the Reds score a pair in the top of the third. IGS bringing the energy feature for this Thursday night. How about this? Only 2 middle infielders in Major League Baseball history with 225 plus home runs, 450 plus stolen bases. One of them still active, Jimmy Rollins, and the other, the Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. Rollins 15 years as a member of the Philadelphia Phillies. Acquired in a trade by the Dodgers in the offseason from Philadelphia. Former National League MVP Jimmy Rollins, 3-time All-Star. Hasn't hit this year like he has hit in the past. He's been their everyday guy at shortstop.
Well, it's actually been a while since Jimmy Rollins has hit like Jimmy Rollins. When you say he was a 3-time All-Star, the last time he made the All-Star team, he was 26 years old. That was 10 years ago. He brings a lot of fiber with him. I mean, he's a leadership quality type of guy. He plays when he's healthy all the time. He's a switch hitter, gets on base. I mean, he grinds out at bats. But his offense has not been there at all this year for the Dodgers.
He's retired here in that soft line drive, handled by Phillips going to his right. So Kivas Sampson now has retired 5 of the last 6 he has faced.
Well, Kivas pitching to contact and taking advantage of that good D that's behind him. Doesn't get a whole lot better than that guy at second base.
Leadoff man retired. Here's Kike Hernandez. Hernandez called out on strikes his first time.
Hernandez is from Puerto Rico, and if you are raised in Puerto Rico, you're subject to the Major League draft rather than being able to sign as a free agent like if you were from the Dominican Republic or from Venezuela or any other country. And Hernandez went to a school called the American Military Academy in Guaynabo, Puerto Rico. And that's the same high school that Ivan De Jesus Jr. went to, and Giovanni Soto. And from what I read about that school, it is some kind of a fine institution. And they brag about there are 3 major leaguers that are graduates of that high school.
They are
Giovanni
Soto
and Ivan De Jesus Jr.
Okay. How about that? Ivan De Jesus Jr., the current Red.
Number 23, Adrian Gonzalez.
Here now is Gonzalez. That one misses up and away, and so Barnhart will now go to the mound to talk with Kivas Sampson. Gonzalez drew a walk his first time. Sampson has walked 3. He has struck out a pair. Walked 3 his last time out against the Diamondbacks. That was in 6 innings worth of work. Reds scored twice in the top of this inning, take a 2-0 lead. Dodgers are threatened. They had second and third, 2 out in the first. Left a runner aboard in the second. have a man on base here with one out in the third.
Gonzalez will make you throw strikes. He worked the walk the first time, but he's not a guy normally to get himself out on pitches out of the strike zone. Now he's in a commanding count. 3 balls and a strike.
Votto can't get it. It tipped barely off the glove of Phillips and out into right field. That's going to send Hernandez over to third. The Dodgers have the tying runs on with 1 out.
Tough break right there for the Reds. That ball just found the seam, and there's not a whole lot of room between Votto and Phillips over there. Votto's bouncing off the bag. He can't get to it, and Phillips is shading that way anyhow. And somehow he was able to get that ground ball through.
Not sure if Joey lost his footing there or what happened. He started to take a step to the right, then went down to his knee. And Phillips couldn't, as we saw, get to that ball. So first and third rather, with 1 out for Andre Ethier. Ethier had that double to left field his first time. .286 average on the year. A very good month of August so far. What a pick by Suarez. He's going to step and throw and get the double play. That is a defensive highlight of the year right there by Eugenio Suarez. He turns a base hit and a run batted in into a 6 unassisted 6-3 double play. Terrific leather work there by Suarez.
All right, Dodger fans, it's time for the Stolen Base Challenge presented by Farmer John. I'm here with Mike.
Bottom of the third. That's Brandon Phillips like right there. That stuff.
Well, when you get this kind of defense behind you, what a boost it is. I mean, if you just think about the short-term advantage of getting that, you get the ball in, you get a double play instead of a run in. But Suarez realizes immediately that Phillips probably not going to get there. And he hustles to the bag and takes care of business by himself. And Kivas, defense picks him up a little bit after a base on balls in that inning.
Well, you got to wonder there if the Dodgers took a look at that play at first base, because that was awfully close.
Really was very close.
Frazier leads things off here in inning number 4. Grounded out to the shortstop, Jimmy Rollins, his first time. Todd ended a 1-for-22 drought on Tuesday with those 3 hits. RBI double, solo home run in that game. Came back with a 2-base hit in yesterday's game. Still for Frazier, just 177 since the All-Star break. Bruce to follow, then Bird here in the top of the 4th. Four for his last 8. How about that? 4 for his last 43. So really in the doldrums until these last 2 days, and he certainly hopes to continue it out here in Los Angeles. Todd's second now in the National League in home runs with 28. He's tied for 5th in runs batted in with 71. 1 home run away from equaling his total of a year ago. Only 9 RBIs away from equaling what he did in 2014. Hit hard to the alley in left center by Frazier. Ethier is going to get to it, but right at the edge of the warning track, and the National League leader in 2-base hits, Todd Frazier, picks up another one here. For Frazier, that is number 33.
You know, the key to this at bat for Todd Frazier is fouling off some really tough pitches early on. And he finally gets a pitch that Latos makes a mistake on, and Frazier's there to drop the hammer on it. And that's really been the way the season has gone for Frazier, where he still chases those pitches outside, sometimes chases pitches down in the dirt, maybe even more than other players. But if you can just foul those off and continue the at bat, keep it alive, you improve your chances of getting a hanger.
Now the Reds have an opportunity to add to their 2-0 lead. Leadoff man out in scoring position. Bruce trying to, at bare minimum here, move him along. Jay struck out his first time.
We've seen over the years that Matt Latos, when he gets a runner on base, he really slows the clock down. Tempo goes to almost reverse.
There goes Frazier to third. And the ball is dropped by the third baseman, Callaspo. I mean, they had Frazier down there. The ball hit the glove and popped out of Alberto Callaspo's glove, and Frazier safe at third.
Well, the defense on the part of the Dodgers, as you mentioned, one of the best defensive teams in all of baseball, has not looked very crisp tonight. Frazier gets a good jump, but a quick throw by Ellis. I mean, it's on the money, too. I'm not so sure that you almost have to try to miss that ball.
Wow.
Of course, one of the problems with that play is that the third baseman is getting there and around the bag at the same time the runner is, and if you just take your eye off it for a moment, that's what happens.
Frazier credited with a steal, his 11th of the year. Frazier is 11 of 15. Now that extra run for the Reds, just 90 feet away with nobody out. Little something off speed. Jay didn't get it. He struck out twice. Hey, don't miss an unforgettable day at the ballpark coming up. It'll be Saturday, August the 22nd, when the Reds honor Hall of Famer Tony Perez. Arrive early and witness the unveiling of the legendary first baseman's bronze statue and a special on-field pregame ceremony. Plus, the first 30,000 fans in attendance will receive a replica Tony Perez statue presented by La Rosa's. For tickets, 513-381-REDS, or you can visit reds.com/tickets. Big day, August the 22nd. That's part of the next homestand. That'll be against the Diamondbacks, the third game of that 4-game series. The homestand includes Kansas City for 2, Arizona for 4, Detroit in for 1 on the 24th. That's an off day on your schedule, but a makeup game. And then these Dodgers in for 3. By the way, if you're wondering about that Kansas City series and will we see Johnny Cueto pitch at Great American Ballpark wearing the Royals blue, the answer to that's going to be no. He is pitching Saturday for the Royals, so the Reds will miss him by a day. Bird, a strikeout victim his first time. Double by Frazier, steal of third against Latos and A.J. Ellis. Now Bird trying to add to the 2-0 Reds lead. Toward right and down the line, it's going to be Puig. And Fairground makes the catch. Frazier tags. Here comes the throw. It bounces high. That allows Frazier head first to get in there. And the Reds take a 3-0 lead. Sacrifice fly for Bird, RBI number 42.
Well, they're asking Matt Latos before timeout is called to go ahead and tag the bag down there at third base, thinking that he may have left early. I guess he did not. Puig has got one of the stronger arms of any right fielder in baseball. Although that angle was very tough for him, going towards the line than having to throw it back towards the plate. And a stolen base by Frazier. The drop ball by the third baseman have all aided the Reds in now 3-0 lead.
That ball sure looked like it took a big old kick on Puig's throw in also to A.J. Ellis. So base is clear with 2 out. Here's Tucker Barnhart, who had a double down the left field line his first time. Barnhart making his 4th start on this road trip. He made back-to-back starts in Arizona, catching on Saturday with Sampson, catching DeSclafani this past Sunday. He also made the start on Tuesday in San Diego with Michael Lorenzen on the mound. Swing and a miss by Barnhart. He is a strikeout victim. Number 4 for Matt Latos. Check that, number 5 for Latos, ending the top of the 4th. Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Meyer, find more for a healthier you at Meyer. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on U.S. News and World Report's Best Children's Hospital. First of 4 games here against the Dodgers in Los Angeles. 3 night games and a day game will wrap up this 10-game road trip. So far for Cincinnati, a win in each city. 1-2 in Arizona, 1-2 in San Diego. And hopefully a few more here against the Dodgers. Kivas Sampson works with a 3-0 lead as he goes back at it here in the bottom of the 4th. He gets Puig to lead things off. Puig grounded out hard to the shortstop Suarez his first time. Tied him up nicely there inside, and on the appeal to first, Paul Nowert says, yeah, Puig went around. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mentioned earlier that Puig did spend time on the disabled list, missed 38 games with a left hamstring strain. Came back near the middle of June.
Well, you still have to remind yourself that Yasiel Puig is only 24 years old in his 3rd major league season. So he's going to have his ups and downs still because he's still learning the game of baseball.
Late on that fastball, sends it in the air to right. Jay Bruce will make the play. Puig is retired, and he's 0 for 2 in this game, and a good start to the bottom of the 4th.
You know, it's easy to be late on a Kivas Sampson fastball, and it's not because he's overpowering with the radar gun readings. I mean, he's throwing, 93 to 95, which is plenty fast enough. But he's got the kind of motion that almost puts you to sleep. It's a very easy delivery, and all of a sudden the ball is on you. There's not a lot of crazy moving parts. It looks like he just kind of rocks, fires, and here it comes. But he's got enough tempo on it that he has a little bit of deception. If you watch where his glove and where he breaks his hands, he kind of flashes that glove to the hitter, and I think that adds a little deception to it.
In the air to left center, Billy Hamilton goes to the alley to run this ball down. 2 fly balls, 2 out. Make sure you cheer on your Reds when they take on the Arizona Diamondbacks as part of the next homestand. It's part of a 4-game series presented by Mike and Ike. Plus, make sure you take advantage of the Reds 4 for $48 ticket offer and save. For tickets, 513-381-REDS. You can visit select Kroger locations, or you can go to reds.com/tickets. We've heard so much talk about the Reds and their young pitching, and watching the innings that they throw this year, and be interested in your take on Sampson, Chris, because last year he threw only 92 innings worth of work, primarily because he worked the second half of the season out of the bullpen. The year before that he threw roughly 150. So where do you add the innings, from 90, or do you go 2 years ago and say, well, he threw 150 that year?
I don't think there should be a restriction on him. I'm not sure how many innings he has right now, but I would think that 150 wouldn't be too many.
High and deep to left field, and gone. Home run for Jock Peterson, his 22nd of the year. He goes opposite field to get the Dodgers on the board.
Well, he puts a lot into it, and you can see a lot of that power from his swing comes from his legs. A long stride, high leg kick really stays behind that baseball. And when he times a fastball, oftentimes they don't stay in the yard. So a solo shot doesn't really hurt you too much if you're Sampson. You come right back and get the next hitter and get yourself into the dugout.
Second home run that Sampson has given up. He gave one up to Neil Walker in his start against the Pirates. And again, the 22nd of the year for Peterson, but just his second since the All-Star break. He set a National League record for most home runs before the break when he hit 20. Let me stand corrected on that, saying the second most ever for a National League rookie before the All-Star break with his 20. Dave Kingman had 21 in 72. Albert Pujols 21 for the Cardinals in 2001. He had 20 this year before the break. Just his second since that time.
Keita Sampson has thrown some excellent pitches in off the plate to wake up right-handers and tell them that part of that plate is mine. He did it to A.J. Ellis on an 0-2 pitch. And that's not intended right there when you hang a breaking ball in there, but it seems like they want to keep that fastball in on Ellis and the breaking ball away. He had a line shot down the right field line on a pretty good pitch away from him the first time up, and nearly got another one on a foul ball 2 pitches ago. But I just like the way the Sampson's not afraid to pitch inside.
Got him looking there. Speaking of coming inside, he gets the inner part of the plate. Gets strikeout number 3. The Dodgers on the home run by Peterson on the board here in the 4th.
The Angels battle the AL Central leading Royals, followed by the Nationals taking on the Giants in a rematch of last year's NLDS. Coverage begins Saturday at 7 Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. I'm Jim Day. We talked about John Lamb making his MLB debut tomorrow. The accompanying move is Michael Lorenzen is headed back to Louisville. Now we were wondering after last time's tough start of Lorenzen what they would do with him, if they would skip him in the rotation, etc. Brian Price says they wanted him to go down to Louisville and continue to start. But eventually, if he makes it back, and you've got to think he would be one of those September call-ups at least, when he comes back, he will work out of the bullpen with Cincinnati because he will simply reach his innings limit on the season. There's no way Brian Price says he could have continued in the starting rotation here through the rest of August and clear through September. So he will go down there. He will go back to the Ted Power School of Pitching. And it was also interesting. He said he and his agents came to the hotel last night, and they really just had a kind of a skull session. And he says he learned a lot last night on what he was doing wrong, and he will apply that in Louisville. He says it's just another bump in the road. Took the demotion very, very well.
Well, thank you, Jim. I mean, I don't think there's any question that Michael Lorenzen has the stuff and has the makeup to be a successful pitcher up here. But as we've heard so often, this is only his second year as a professional.
It's a lot tougher than it looks. And that's what the minor leagues are for. So often I hear organizations saying, well, we want to bring this guy up so when he comes up, we stay up. And I don't know if that's really, I mean, in an ideal world, that's the way it works. But most of the time, that doesn't happen. Most of the time, you come up here, you get a taste of victory, you feel good. All of a sudden, the league figures you out, or you're beginning to do something wrong, and you're terrible for a while, and then it's time to be sent back down and work on things. I think it's a really good plan the Reds have him on. Number one, working with Ted Power, you can't beat that. Number two, being a starter down there will give him an opportunity to get regular bullpen work too, and that's really where you get your work done as you prepare for those games. So Michael Lorenzen will be back, and he'll be a very fine pitcher.
And meanwhile, the Reds faithful get another opportunity to see one of the up and coming arms that Walt Jocketty and company have been talking about. One is pitching tonight in Kivas Sampson, making his third start. We'll see John Lamb, who was a former 5th round pick by Kansas City, back in 08, who at one point was Kansas City's #1 prospect before he had Tommy John surgery.
You almost wish that you could have an 8 or 9 man rotation so that you could see each one of these young pitchers one by one, kind of like you do in spring training. But of course, you have to get over there early to watch some B games that start at 10 o'clock because they're pitching those games everywhere. But I'm anxious to see Lamb, and I'm anxious to see a left-hander to join David Holmberg in the rotation. It's been a while since the Reds have had one lefty in the rotation, much less to have two. And what better day to announce that on International Left-Handers Day?
Yeah, indeed. That's for sure. Today is indeed that. I know this. It's gotten you all wound up today, Left-Handers Day.
I'm fired up. Maybe this would be a good day to finish the game off with the fastest throwing left-hander of all.
Well, maybe we'll have the chance to get him in there a little later on. He can strike out Puig to end the game. Wouldn't that be something?
We'd like that.
Hamilton, a base hit and a run batted in his first time up, and he gets a base hit here, and he hit both those balls on the line. One to right, this one, and the first one to left field. You got to like that swing.
Well, he got one on a fastball the other way, and he pulls a breaking ball in the hole here. Got to like that a lot. Now, Latos is preoccupied with him as last time he got on base, and he threw it right by the first baseman Gonzalez all the way down the right field line, and that's when Billy Hamilton ended up on third base.
Guys, Billy Hamilton from the left-hand side on National Left-Handers Day, and isn't it ironic that here at the ballpark tonight, Sandy Koufax bobblehead day, one of the greatest lefties of all, if not the greatest.
Now the man on their scoreboard out there between innings said greatest pitcher of all time. Runner takes off. The throw is not in time. Tag applied out there by the shortstop Jimmy Rollins. Headlong slide by Hamilton gets him number 53 on the year.
Well, they're scurrying around in the Dodger dugout to try to take an extra look at that, see what their video man does. I'll tell you, how A.J. Ellis makes this even close is incredible. I think he's in there no problem, because he had a huge lead and a big jump off of Latos. That throw is right on the money again. Tim Wallach wants to go ahead and have it reviewed. Well, it must have been something that they saw in their slow-mo version that we did not see at real speed.
Yeah, maybe they had another angle, because everything that we looked at from here appeared to be that Billy got that left hand in there. So the crew chief, Dana DeMuth, and the first base umpire, Paul Nart, will come over and take a look at it. You mentioned Tim Wallach was in there. He's the bench coach of this Dodger team. He was on the phone with the video guy in the clubhouse. Reds, of course, have his son Chad now in the organization.
He lives.
Oh boy, that's closer than I thought.
It's closer, but is it enough to overrule what they've made the call on?
Now, there's a limited number of games being played in Major League Baseball tonight, and I imagine that with this one being on the West Coast, some of those that are on the East Coast are probably already over. So what do we have going left? I'm wondering what kind of a crew they have left there in New York. There are just 3 games going on now. Kansas City and the Angels are in the 9th inning. We're in the 5th inning here in San Francisco, who are hosting the Nationals. They are in the 4th inning. So they ought to have plenty of umpire bodies here to take a look at this, and they're probably all huddled around the screens right now. And Jim Day knows what it's like to sit in that hot seat and try to make that tough decision.
Yeah, you and he went out there when you were in New York, right?
We did. And you know, the interesting thing is you see a play and it's a tough play, then you see another angle. Now you think you got it, and then you think you got it, and then you see a third angle and you're not so sure, and you say, yep, I'm going to overrule that. And then the chief says to you, would you bet your house on it? And then you're like, whoa, wait a minute now. So I don't know, Jim, did you see a call that you would bet your house on?
Well, that's the tough one. You put the nail on the head right there. When you're in that seat, it is so different and time flies. Now, I'm just wondering right here, Billy has jammed his fingers so many times. In fact, where's that brace? He now lifts up his fingers or his hand when he's going head first, and I'm wondering, he did it here, and I'm wondering if that got him out right here.
You know, that's a good point, because he did have his fingers elevated a little bit so that he would hit the base kind of with the heel of his hand. Watch his left hand right here as he goes in. And the question is, do you have the tag on him before he's able to hit the bag with the bottom of his hand there? This may be the angle that they look at. Well, you can't really see where the tag is. They're going to call him safe.
It was close, and that was a great angle at the end, but I don't know that that was definitive enough to overrule. The umpires thought the same thing. So Billy, who hasn't been caught stealing since the Indians caught him on July the 19th, steals his 53rd of the year. That's 8 straight without being caught.
I'll tell you, after a long delay like that, the first pitch would be a nice time to steal third if you think you can get the lead. Now they're going to hold him over there pretty close. Hernandez is snug to the bag at second. But we know the Latos really doesn't like to throw to second base all that much.
Well, Phillips drove in Hamilton his last time up with a base hit. Latos hasn't walked anyone. He has struck out 6, but the Reds struck for 2 in the 3rd. 1 more in the 4th. Threatening here in the 5th. Sliced down the right field line by Phillips. He's going to drive Hamilton home for the second consecutive time. Brandon's going to get himself a 2-base hit, and it is 4-0 Reds here in the 5th.
Well, opposite field hitting have been awfully good to the Reds so far tonight. Hamilton pulled his, but Phillips gets a base hit right here by taking it the other way. After looking bad on a curveball, Latos tries to come right back with something down and away, and Phillips says, hey, I'll go right with that ball inside the right field line.
Brandon closing in now on 800 career runs batted in. He now has 797 career RBIs. Suarez is grounded out and flied out. One of the main issues for not only this Reds team, but the last couple of years is hitting and scoring position. Tonight, that's a fair ball. Tonight, the Reds are now 4 for 5 with this double by Suarez. 4 for 5 with runners in scoring position. And they now lead this game thanks to that RBI double, 5-0.
They will probably get the bullpen phone ringing after this one right inside the line. The Reds are doing it on the lines tonight. Suarez gets a little breaking ball and is able to get that, keep it fair down the left field line.
So not the kind of start that the Dodgers wanted from Latos. Certainly not the start that Latos wanted against his old club, the Reds.
Well, I'm sure he was just so fired up before the ball game that, you know, you see this falling apart like that. He's given up 5 runs and 7 hits. He's had an error. And A.J. Ellis just trying to settle him down a little bit. That's Rick Honeycutt, the Dodgers pitching coach.
Left-hander Luis Avilon has now started to throw out in the Dodger bullpen. There's Avilon. So they'll give him a chance to get warmed up in the bullpen as the pitching coach and the battery meet here. 5 runs, 7 hits now for the Reds. How to put a win together here after winning yesterday in San Diego to close out that series 7-3. Suarez, he's done a good job, continues to do that at the plate, and he had a sparkling defensive play earlier on the double play ball. He turned into a pair off the bat of Ethier.
I guess Avilon could not get loose fast enough in order for them to call him in to face Joey Votto. So Latos will live for at least one more.
They're going to put Votto on intentionally, bring Frazier to the plate. We were talking about scores earlier in today's a limited schedule day. The Giants, who started the day 3.5 behind the Dodgers, they're playing at home tonight against the Nationals and leading 2-1 in the bottom of the 4th inning, trying to get within 2.5 games and 2 in the loss column. Cubs continue to roll. They won game number 7 in a row. They're pushing that Pirates team for the top wild card spot. They win at home over the Brewers 9-2. While the Pirates, they avoid being swept in St. Louis. They win 10-5 over the Cardinals today. Francisco Liriano, whom you talked about earlier, hit a home run against Latos in the game against them. He gets the victory today. The Pirates now 6 behind the Cardinals. Toronto, they won again. They've now won 11 games in a row. They've overtaken the Yankees for the top spot in the AL East. They win today by a final score of 4-2 at home over Oakland. The Yankees, they played and won 8-6 at Cleveland, and then those two will start a series beginning tomorrow night. That series will be contested in Toronto. Ivan Nova against David Price. Game 1 of that series tomorrow in Toronto. Bruce is on deck. Latos has fallen behind 3-0.
Well, green light him right here. There is no team in baseball that hits better than the Reds do on a 3-0 count.
He may have swung at ball 4, but yeah, you're right. He was ready to go right there.
Well, you figure you're getting a fastball almost out of every pitcher out there. 3-0 is almost automatic fastball. It's about as good a count as you can get where you're going to guarantee you know what you want. And you get what you want.
Three and two.
Latos has thrown only one ground ball double play for the Dodgers in 2 games, 4 on the season. So I imagine with the kind of numbers he's putting up, he's got a lot of opportunities to roll up a double play ball and hasn't got them.
Locks Frazier up there. He may have been a pitch away at 3-0 from leaving this game. In fact, he may be anyway.
I don't know whether they're going to, if they're going to go to a left-handed reliever, now would be the time to do it.
Right fielder, Jay Bruce.
And Don Mattingly coming up the steps of the Dodger dugout.
They're going to make a double switch. They'll go to Ed Hickox, the home plate umpire, first. So Matt Latos, his first start against the Reds since being traded away in the offseason, was supposed to face them down in Miami, but a foot injury scratched him from that start. They'll make the change here. Justin Turner, who just came off the disabled list today, activated. He goes in at third base. He's had a leg injury. He's been out since the end of July. He'll come on to play third. Dodgers will make a pitching change here. And into the game comes the left-hander Luis Avila. This is our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Premium for live or on demand on over 400 devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and much more. Remember, blackout and other restrictions do apply. That's MLB.tv. Get you all the details. New third baseman, new pitcher on for the Dodgers. Justin Turner, drafted years ago by the Reds, takes over at third. He got a big round of applause.
Yeah, they've been anxious for Justin Turner to come off the disabled list. That leg injury that you referred to is actually a case of MRSA on one of his toes. And he said that one day he was picking at it. He thought he had an ingrown hair or something down there. The next thing you know, it started swelling up on him, getting worse and worse. They told him after testing it that it was MRSA, and it took him a lot longer to come back from that than they ever thought. Meanwhile, the new pitcher is a new pitcher to the Dodgers. He just came over here at the very end of the July, right before the trading deadline, and that 17-player deal that also brought Matt Latos here from the Miami Marlins. Avalon came from the Atlanta Braves. 3-team deal.
One hop to first to retire the side. Jay is now 0 for 3 in the game, but the Reds add a pair here. Now have the lead of 5-1 over the Dodgers. America. Boys and Girls Clubs help young people to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens through the programs that promote character and leadership, education, healthy lifestyles, and more. For more information, you can visit foxsportssupports.com. Big night for the Reds thus far here at Dodger Stadium. They knock Matt Latos, their former teammate, out of the game. They lead it 5-1 as we go to the bottom of the 5th. And Justin Turner, who just returns today from the DL, in the 9 spot as part of that double switch when Avilon came in, leads things off.
And meanwhile, and very quietly, Kiva Sampson has turned himself into turned himself into a ball game in which he turns in another very nice outing.
To right and chased by Bruce, still on the run. He's not going to get it. It bounces off the wall, and Bruce really got that ball back in a hurry, so much so that Turner was forced to stay put at first. Well, these Dodger fans, they love having Turner back. They've already given him 2 or 3 big rounds of applause.
This is the part of this ballpark where you can really pick up a cheapo. I mean, a home run that goes right inside that line. It's only about 330 down there, if it's that far. But Jay Bruce gets it on a hop and gets it right back in on a hop.
Kind of like it, I guess, at Yankee Stadium, Fenway Park, where the fence actually comes back in toward the field.
Turner really looks like he belongs in the Padre bullpen.
With that beard?
Yeah.
Turner was a guy drafted by the Reds back in '06 out of Cal State Fullerton. Never did make it to the big leagues with Cincinnati. In fact, he was traded away along with Ryan Friel to Baltimore for Ramon Hernandez prior to the 2009 season. Played in the big leagues with the Orioles, with the Mets last year, now this year with the Dodgers. Votto will get the out. Had an idea of possibly getting that lead runner. Rollins retired 3 unassisted.
Well, he was beginning to grab for the baseball as he was also grabbing or looking around for that base, and in the process of turning around, setting himself up to have a tag him out at second base, but he got the out he needed to.
Might have had a pretty good chance at that. And the ball not going off his shirt.
He's surprisingly accurate with his throws, Votto is, especially considering where his arm angle is sometimes. I mean, we see him throw the ball like a submariner half the time, and the ball's right on the button.
Well, a runner in scoring position now for Kike Hernandez. Struck out and walked so far tonight in 2 plate appearances for Hernandez. His pitch count you see there is 84. Part of this Dodger order following Hernandez, Adrian Gonzalez, the number 3 hitter. And now he's behind 3-1. Contact there into left. Hit that ball so hard that Turner is able to move up just 90 feet. So it's 1st and 3rd now with 1 out for the Dodgers, with Adrian Gonzalez striding to the plate.
Now, one of the few mistakes that Sampson has made on the night, and he gets that ball right up and out over the plate. You expect the ball to be hit hard when you throw it there.
No one throwing in the Reds bullpen, but there is, as always it seems to be once we reach the middle of the game, movement down there, players stretching, exercising, getting themselves ready to go just in case.
Nice idea there. First pitch changeup. I'm a little surprised there's nobody up and throwing yet. Sampson came in with 76 pitches. He's up close to 90 right now, and you know you want to get him through the 5th inning. But winning the ball game, this should be your number 1 goal.
Giving the encouraging talk there to Kivas Sampson as Ryan Matthews gets up, starts to throw in the Reds bullpen.
You know, both the Reds catchers are really good about coming out there and, you know, giving a pep talk, boosting the confidence a little bit. Sometimes that's all you need to hear. Now, all you need is one good pitch to get out of this jam.
Next pitch will be the 90th for Sampson in this game. Gonzalez has been on twice against Sampson in this one. He walked in the first, had a base hit to right in the third. Now he's ahead 3-1. Right-hander now, Pedro Baez, throwing in the Dodger bullpen. Avalon came on, retired Bruce, and ended the top of the fifth. Now shooting this the other way is Gonzalez. Bird's going to get it. Right on the warning track. He'll spin and quickly throw into second. The run will score Turner. Give Gonzalez the RBI, his 69th of the year. And it's a 5-2 game, Reds.
Well, the Reds will take that out of Gonzalez any day when they've got a 4-run lead. He is so dangerous, especially because he can hit the ball a long way right down the left field line. And when that ball first came off the bat, I'm sure that there were a few people in that Reds dugout holding their breath, hoping that it wouldn't go right inside the foul pole.
I'm going to bring a visit out of the dugout by Jeff Pico. After Barnhart was just out there before the Gonzalez at bat. Now Pico goes out there before the Ethier at bat. Sampson due up third in the sixth inning. Matthews continues to throw in the Reds bullpen. Ethier's doubled and hit into that double play ball. Sparkling defensive play out there by Suarez. Back in the third inning. One ball and one strike. Puig is on deck. It'll be interesting to see if Sampson loses Ethier here. If he were to stay in the game and face Puig, or they'd bring in a fresh arm and Ryan Matthews. Now it's 3 balls and a strike. Hernandez at first, 2 out, a run in. Sampson an out away from becoming eligible for the win in this game. It is not going as smoothly for him tonight as it did his last time out against the Diamondbacks. To center, Hamilton. He's going to make the play on it. Sounded great off the bat. Crowd reacted in kind onto their feet, but Hamilton hauls it in, and Kivas Sampson gets through 5. 5-2. Well, it's always been, it seems like, these two teams involved in pitching strong games. In fact, look at this stat right here. Reds and the Dodgers have gone 19 consecutive games without either team scoring 7 or more runs in a game. Second longest streak to the Blue Jays and the Yankees, who will get together this weekend in Toronto. 19 times in a row these two teams have met, the Reds and the Dodgers, and neither team scored 7 or more runs in the contest. Will that continue tonight, or someone gets 7 or more? Reds have 5 and lead 5-2 through 5. Marlon Byrd will lead things off. Luis Avilan, by the way, stays out there. Byrd now, Barnhart next. The pitcher spot after that. Jason Bourgeois has a batting helmet on and a bat in hand in the Reds dugout, as he would hit for Sampson, and the Reds would go to the bullpen for the final 4 innings of this game. Byrd has struck out, had a sacrifice fly back in the 4th. Marlins strikes out for the 2nd time, and that's the 8th strikeout by Dodger pitching tonight. Now, Avilan, we talked about him coming over here along with Matt Latos coming over here in that big trade that transpired on the 30th of July. The Dodgers gave up a lot of minor league players, but only one big leaguer, Paco Rodriguez, went to Atlanta. And amongst the players that came over to the Dodgers was a guy who's not thrown a pitch this year, but has been on 3 different teams this year. Bronson Arroyo. Started the year.
We saw Bronson in Arizona. He's still there trying to rehab himself into pitching shape.
Thought he might be here today, but apparently he's in Arizona.
And he was encouraged of the way things are coming around for him.
He had the Tommy John, but didn't he have some shoulder issues as well?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he had both shoulder and elbow issues. Really a shame for a guy that was really never on the disabled list. He signed that deal with Arizona, a 2-year deal, didn't throw a pitch for him.
Not this year.
Right. Last year he did. He tried to gut it through till he realized that he was really pitching with a damaged arm.
We had that game in Arizona where you had Leak against Arroyo. That was one of those classic ones. Arroyo had mentored Leak when he was drafted out of Arizona State, came to the Reds.
I think Mike Leak a lot better for that mentoring also.
3-1 now to Barnhart.
That's the one thing you don't have at all here on this Reds team is one veteran starting pitcher that can kind of sit guys down and, you know, talk in between their starts.
We were seeing a lot of that from Cueto. Of course, he's now with Kansas City, but you're right. Tonight marking the 15th consecutive game in which the Reds have started a rookie on the mound, and their 61st game this year in which a rookie has started in the middle of the diamond. Barnhart draws the walk. He's on with 1 out. And fly ball deep to center by Ethier is indeed the final batter faced by Kivas Sampson tonight. He'll go 5. Allowed 2 runs, 5 hits. and be in line to get his second consecutive victory if the Reds can hang on. Jason Bourgeois announced as the pinch hitter. Bourgeois comes in at just 195 with a homer. That was a pinch hit home run. 6 RBIs. 3 for 12 off the bench this year. He's going to get himself his 4th pinch hit of the season there as he shoots that one through the hole on the right side. The Reds have 2 on with 1 out.
Center fielder Billy Hamilton.
Now Billy Hamilton, who already has 2 hits, both those coming from the left side, bats from the right side for the first time against the southpaw Avilon. Gonzalez can't quite get to that ball. Strike 1. Sampson goes 5, 2 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. The home run ball to Jock Peterson, 96 pitches. And again, in line to be the winner here tonight. He and Jeff Pico talk it over. Another hit for Billy. His 3rd of this game will load him up with 1 out in the 6th. Hamilton started the day at 222. He now has more hits in this game than he had the first 2 series on this road trip.
There's got to be a lot of Dodger fans sitting in this stadium tonight looking at what the Reds have done to the Dodger pitching so far and what they're about to do, and wonder how this team is 22 games out of first place.
Here comes Don Mattingly out of the dugout. Another double switch going to transpire here. Carl Crawford has come out of the dugout. He's jogging out into the outfield for the Dodgers. Appears as if Andre Ethier will leave. He made the last out in the 5th inning. And the Dodgers are going to bring in the 3rd pitcher of this game. Pedro Baez has been up and throwing, and Baez will be the new man on the mound for LA.
by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
No matter where the Reds travel, there are Red fans aplenty cheering this club on. And here at Dodger Stadium, that is in force as well here tonight. Amidst all the blue, some red. Second double switch of this game occurs for the Dodgers. Carl Crawford now out in left field. Andre Ethier leads the game, and into the contest in the middle of the diamond is Pedro Baez.
Well, Pedro Baez, a young man from Bani, Dominican Republic, who signed with the Dodgers as a non-drafted free agent. You do that out of the DR. And who was a third baseman. In fact, he was such a good third baseman and a prospect that he appeared in the 2010 All-Star Futures games as a third baseman. A couple of years later, though, the Dodgers decided his arm was better than his bat. They converted him into a pitcher, and here he is in the major leagues for the second year in a row.
This year out of the Dodger bullpen, 4-2. Fine ERA of 2.34. We talk about the Dodgers and their pitching and their starters. Even though they've used 16 different pitchers to start this year, has been very good, but their bullpen, can't say the same thing about that. Brandon Phillips on 3 times tonight. An error to start the game. He's driven in Hamilton twice, once with a single, another time with a double. What we're talking about with the Dodger bullpen, a 4.11 ERA, near the bottom of the National League, average the same. 17 blown saves, and when you look at blown saves, there's almost really should be divided into 2 categories. One is an end of the game blown save, and then the rest of them, which occur before the 9th inning. A lot of leads given up, certainly by this Dodger bullpen, although Baez with a 2.34 ERA has held up his end of the bargain, averaging over a strikeout an inning.
You'd think that you'd see more complete games out of Greinke and Kershaw, but you don't. You got to. I go back to the line that Randy Jones said yesterday when he had a year in which he completed 25 games. He said the bullpen was so bad I didn't want those guys in there. But to date, Kershaw has 2 complete games and Zach Greinke has 1.
Well, those 2, and you throw in the lefty Brett Anderson, those have been the 3 that they can turn to and have turned to all year to make their starts. After that, been a toss-up out there. Off the end of the bat and bobbled, and a run will score. Brandon Phillips just tapped that ball. It was out in front of it on the delivery of Baez, hit it back to the mound, and it was like a hot potato for Pedro.
You're exactly right. He was fielding that ball like it was a live tarantula, bouncing it around. Did not really want to look like he wanted to hold it. He knew what he wanted to do with it, but he just couldn't get the handle on it. And then nearly throws it down the right field line.
Phillips is out 1-3. He gets his 3rd RBI of the game. Barnhart scores. And Bourgeois advances over to second with Hamilton now down. Pardon me, Bourgeois at 3rd with Hamilton down at second base. And now it's Suarez. That run charge to Avilon. The Reds have now scored in 4 straight innings. We talked about at the top, the Dodger pitching came into this game having not allowed a run in 19 consecutive innings. Back-to-back shutouts, the final 2 games of that National Series. One by Greinke, one by Kershaw in the first 2 of this. So they've gone 21 straight innings without allowing a run. Reds now have 6 in this one. Well, that streak that we talked about at the top of this inning, 19 straight games in which between these 2 teams in which neither team has scored 7 or more. Reds now sitting at 6. Dodger starter Matt Lato's final line, 4 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 of which were earned. Walked 1 intentionally, struck out 7 through 85 pitches, and can only come out of this thing on the losing side of the ledger. Latos hadn't started against the Reds since he was a member of the Padres. And it's conceivable the Dodgers will be into Cincinnati as part of that next homestand that the Reds could see him again. Wouldn't that be something? Latos pitching at Great American Ballpark. Ripped by Suarez to left. That's a 3-run blast for the Red shortstop. For Suarez, his 7th of the year. 4 RBIs now in this game. This has been a 4-run inning, and it is 9-2 Cincinnati. I mean, that one off the bat of Suarez sounded like Frazier's the other day in San Diego.
I'm not so sure how much more convincing anybody needs about the legitimacy of Eugenio Suarez bat. I mean, it's not like he's come up here and for 2 weeks put on a good little run. He has been consistently good since the time he's gotten the call.
For 2 months. Giving 7 home runs now, 29 runs batted in, just over 2 months worth of work. So there's that number we were talking about earlier. Nobody scoring 7 or more. 19 straight games. First time that either team has scored more than 6 since July 2nd, 2012. 3 years ago. Reds scored 7 yesterday. 9 so far here today. Gives us the final line then on Luis Avalon, the left-hander. 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Votto trying to get in on the fun of this. He is lined out, struck out, and drew an intentional walk.
Kind of interesting, over just about the same number of at-bats in games. The numbers between that Zach Cozart put up and Eugenio Suarez put up are eerily similar.
Votto called out on strikes. The inning ends, but Suarez, number 7, gives the Reds now a 9-2 lead. Spotting in the Staples Advantage Triple Play Suites. Enjoy indoor and outdoor seating, unlimited ballpark buffet, and much more. If you'd like information, you can contact the Reds Group Sales Department. Their number 513-765-7600, or visit reds.com/groups. 9-2 Reds. Suarez, he's done it with the leather and with the lumber tonight.
Having a good night. In fact, the Reds are having a good couple of days back to back. They did a nice job against the Padres yesterday on getaway day and have a commanding 9-2 lead now. They turn the ball over to Ryan Matthews.
A lot of bullpen work left for this game. 4 innings worth of action now for that Reds pen. Matthews gets it started. Puig and then Crawford and then Jock Peterson. This guy has been busy since the Reds claimed him, hasn't he? Seems like he's always out there.
Well, they've used him in a lot of different roles too. You know, the one thing you consider with all the young starters that the Reds have that they're auditioning right now, you really don't know. I mean, it's premature to say what you're seeing right now, and then you add Homer Bailey, and that's going to be your rotation next year. I'd imagine the Reds may go out and get a veteran pitcher to kind of help balance that whole thing out. And there's no guarantee that all the young pitchers that you're seeing right now are going to turn into, you know, legitimate major league starters. It's a big leap from getting a few starts in the major leagues to becoming a guy that can give you 30 starts. So some of them may end up in the bullpen. Don't know who or how many, but some of them might. So they may just well be the guy who takes over a spot like Ryan Matthews.
Jam shot on Puig, and he's going to end up with a base hit. He's going to try to take second, and he will get there. Votto's throw going to be late. I mean, Matthews did the job on Yasiel Puig. Sometimes you make a pitch that's too good.
Well, and sometimes you try to make something out of nothing, and that's what Brandon Phillips did right there. Now, you make a good pitch, you don't always get a good result. Infield is back. Puig, for a guy that weighs 255 pounds, can really motor.
Well, that'll go down as an infield hit for Puig, and then a throwing error on Brandon Phillips.
You know, I keep looking at Puig, and I'm thinking, you know, he's from Cuba, but had he been raised here in the United States, I doubt that he would have ever been on a baseball diamond. I think the guy would have been a surefire football player, without a doubt. At his age right now, just probably being eligible for the NFL draft a year or two ago. What is he, 24 years old?
Yeah. You make a good point. I mean, the man is built like a fire hydrant.
Oh, he's 6'3" or 6'2", 255 pounds. He runs like a deer. I mean, that's the kind of body that has an SEC head coach drooling all over himself.
Running back? Is that what he is, a running back? With that size?
I wouldn't be surprised if Urban Meyer's making a call right now to find out if he's got any eligibility left.
Crawford gets the base hit, so the Dodgers get the first two on against Matthews here in the 6th inning. Peterson, an opposite field home run his last time. In fact, take a look at it back in the 4th inning. Bird on the run. He's going to get to it right on the line. The runner will tag and come home. The throw. Do they get him? No, they did not. Puig got in. 9-3. Reds will take a look at it.
Well, you always take a chance when the left fielder is catching the ball on the third base line because he doesn't have much of a throwing lane. Bird's going to throw it right down the line and hope that the runner doesn't get in the way. He gets his hand in there. I don't think there's a question about that. The most amazing thing for me is that the ball didn't hit Puig on the way to the plate.
Crawford stayed put at first. Pretty good throw by Bird, but as Chris mentioned, you can see Puig get his hand in there before the tag of Barnhart, who was actually behind the plate. And Peterson with a sacrifice fly.
I don't think Marlin could have come up with a better throw than that.
No. Crawford takes off, and he steals the base. Third of the year for Carl Crawford. Hamilton will handle this ball for the second out. Well, you think back the years that Carl Crawford had. He was with Tampa Bay. I mean, he steals his third here. I mean, this guy had some huge years in stolen bases with the Rays. He led the league in steals 4 different times back in his early 20s, early to mid 20s. A career high of 60 in 09, and in that year he did not lead the league in stolen bases. And ever since he left Tampa Bay, injuries have followed him everywhere. Turner singled off the wall right down the right field line his first time. Reds up 9-3 in the 6th. Jim Johnson, right-hander, throwing in the Dodger bullpen. Suarez, nicely done to his left, will make the play. Turner gone, and the Dodgers settle for 1, the bottom of the 6th.
For Cincinnati so far. I'm Jim Day, and I love how fans pick up on every little detail of the game, particularly when players do mannerisms on the field in which they don't know. And Todd Frazier has been doing one all season. I've been getting this question on social media a lot. When he gets a hit, like he did on a double tonight, he does this. Now, what the heck does that mean? Todd Frazier tells me it's basically, I'm driving the bus. I'm the captain. Come aboard. I will drive us. I will lead us. So there you go, fans. Everyone that has tweeted me. That is what that means.
Driving the bus. How's that something you'd like to do, Jim Day, on your day off?
Well, if you ask Marty Brenneman, he says I often dress like a bus driver. He says it often, in fact.
Like tonight. He probably said that to you tonight with that nice blue suit you're wearing.
He doesn't need an excuse. It's one of many in his repertoire for me.
Speaking of, here's Frazier to get things going in the 7th. New pitcher on is Jim Johnson. Another one of those many players that came over in that trading deadline deal from Atlanta. Frazier gets the base hit, so he has 2 knocks tonight. Boy, that's good to see. Now 5 of them in the last 3 games.
I'm trying to think back and remember a ball game in which the Reds have had so many opposite field hits like they have had tonight. It's like all of a sudden they've adopted a completely new strategy.
Jim Johnson appearing for the 5th time since joining the Dodgers. Already has 2 losses. And I mean to tell you, he's gotten touched up this year with them. 12 runs in 3 2/3 innings. He's allowed as many runs, earned runs with this Dodger club in 3 2/3 as he allowed in 49 appearances and 48 innings worth of work for Atlanta. How about that?
Yeah, you got to figure that he's got a lot of good baseball left in him, because there was not all that long ago that he was the main closer for the Baltimore Orioles. And not just a closer, but I mean, he was saving 50 games a year. He had 1 year in which he saved 51, another back-to-back years, 2013, where he saved 50 games and 59 opportunities.
Yeah, he led the big leagues those 2 years. Not just the American League, but the major leagues in saves. So as part of that trade tonight, we've seen Latos, we've seen Avalon, we see Johnson. Tomorrow we'll see Alex Wood, right-hander acquired from the Braves. We won't see Jose Peraza, a young infielder who was acquired also in that deal. He was here, but when Justin Turner was activated today, he was sent down to their AAA club at Oklahoma City. Also part of that deal initially was Michael Morris, and they turned him around and sent him to Pittsburgh for Jose Tabata. The only big leaguer they lost was Paco Rodriguez and some minor leaguers.
Well, Wood, the pitcher we're going to see tomorrow night, a left-hander with a really unorthodox delivery. Wait till you see that delivery that he'll drop on the Reds when he takes them out here at Dodger Stadium.
This was a guy pitching for Atlanta last year, talking about Alex Wood. That, I mean, he really came out of the gate strong. What, he won 11 games with an under 3 ERA. So we get the young left-hander Alex Wood against the young left-hander that will go for the Reds here tomorrow. Young man that we talked about earlier, whom they acquired in the trade. One of the 3 left-handers they acquired in the Johnny Cueto trade, John Lamb. John taking it all in his first big league game here tonight. 3 starts down in Louisville, including his last one, which he allowed 1 run in 6 innings worth of work against Durham. So this year at AAA, Lamb has won 10 games. 9 at Omaha, 1 with Louisville. 6'4", 205-pounder from La Palma, California. So he'll make his big league debut in his home state. Got to be kind of nerve-wracking for him to sit in that dugout tonight and watch the game.
I'm sure he'll take a night of restful sleep over a nice, here in the major leagues, over a nice 10-hour nap down at AAA any day.
No doubt about it. Bruce with a solid single into center field. So back-to-back knocks by Frazier and Bruce get the 7th inning started against Johnson.
The fielder, number 9, Marlon Bird.
Talking with Rick Monday, one of the broadcasters of the Dodgers prior to the game. One of the questions I asked him is, can this Dodger team win the World Series? He said, this Dodger team can win the West. After that, I'm not so sure. Don Mattingly on the left, Rick Honeycutt, the longtime pitching coach of the Dodgers, on the right. You're probably wondering what in the world is going on with Jim Johnson. This guy had a 2.25 ERA with the Braves earlier this season in 49 appearances. And out there counting tonight now 5 times as a member of the Dodgers. The last time out against the Pirates on Sunday is when he gave up the majority of those runs, knocked around for 8 runs in 2/3 of an inning.
Well, it appears his stuff is still there. I mean, he's always averaged about 94, 95 on a fastball. He's got 2 fastballs he uses. He has a curveball as his favorite secondary pitch. Occasional changeup. Sometimes you just get in a little bit of a funk.
Double play ball goes 4, 6, 3. Hernandez to Rollins to Gonzalez, hit into by Bird. Frazier ends up at third.
And the number 16, Tucker Barnhart.
So each team has turned to double play tonight. Now Tucker Barnhart been on twice, a double, a walk, scored twice. Turns around and bats again from the left side. Rollins throws him out, and the Reds fail in the 7th. Stretch time here at Dodger Stadium. Reds up handily by 6.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Strong fan photo of the night. We invite you, of course, to tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag Ohio Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's tonight's Data Strong fan of the game, Francine and company. The pitcher on for the Reds, the second out of the bullpen. This is Burt Badenhop. Relieves Ryan Matthews, who gives up a run in the 6th inning.
The Hopper has been dealing. Last 17 ball games, has not given up a run since before the 4th of July holiday.
One of the three veteran pitchers, I should say, that were brought into this club in the offseason. He's the only one that has survived. Bruce battling the lights, and he made the catch near his knees. I don't know if he saw that all the way or just took a guess as to where that thing was going to come down. Either way, he caught it.
Rollins just goes out there and kind of swats at that ball, and you can tell that, you know, it was one of those medium low fly balls. Not quite a line drive, low enough to stay under the lights. Not a fly ball to go above the lights, just right in them probably the whole way. We're talking about John Lamb start tomorrow for the Reds, his major league debut. You say at La Palma, California, that's only about 30 minutes down the highway. You take the San Diego freeway south and you run right into it.
Look at this. Oh, he's going to be aboard because the ball came out of the glove of Joey Votto. Suarez almost added another gem to his night here tonight on that ball.
First baseman, number 23,
That's usually a ball that Joey scoops. In fact, if he reaches out, he can get it before it even reaches the ground. He just didn't extend that arm out far enough. Oh. Having an off night on both sides of the ball. Everybody has him.
There's Gonzalez now. Pinch hitter on deck for the Dodgers is Scott Van Slyke. Jim Johnson goes an inning. The Dodgers reel through their bullpen as well. Hamilton back into his left will make the catch of that ball. A couple of line drives, both caught by Reds outfielders. And now Van Slyke will bat for Johnson. Van Slyke hitting .257 with 4 home runs. 4 for 11 off the bench for the Dodgers this year. Reds were looking for an outfielder in the offseason. His name was one of the names that came up, bandied about a little bit. Toward left, and it's going to fall in front of Marlon Byrd. 2 hits in the inning against Badenhop to bring Puig to the plate.
number 66, Puig.
Bruce has no trouble with this ball via the lights. He handles that easily, and the Dodgers lead 2. They've stranded 8 through 7. The Reds, they scored 4 times in the 6th. They lead 9-3 in this game. Knocked out their former teammate Matt Latos, who allowed 5 runs, 7 hits, and 4 2/3, and they get another decent start out of Kivas Sampson, who allowed 2 runs in 5 innings, looking for his 2nd straight win. Reds have pounded out a dozen hits in this game. Now get their 5th different pitcher to face. This is the lefty J.P. Howell. Schumacher batting for Badenhop. The Reds will employ another pitcher come the 8th. 15 pinch hits for him this season. Tops in the big leagues.
He was doing a lot of meet and greet behind the Reds batting cage when they were taking batting practice. Of course, he played here in Los Angeles just a couple of years ago, and one of the favorites among his teammates. You could say that about Skip Schumacher, really, wherever he goes.
Still has a lot of friends in the Cardinal organization and in the St. Louis area. When we were there, he greeted all of them. He's just I would think, just a great teammate.
Hanging right in there on a curveball there. Did not flinch one bit on that curve by J.P. Howell. And that's the kind that you don't flinch on. You get it up in the zone. The pitcher's already elevated it for you. All you've got to do is get the bat head on it.
Ground hugger there by Schumacher, in which Gonzalez will make the play. So Skip is the first out here in the 8th inning.
Center fielder number 6.
Billy batting out of the 9 spot. Already has 3 hits. Look what they've done tonight. 9, 1, and 2 have been very productive.
Well, that's one of the ideas of having Billy Hamilton in that number 9 spot. He sets the table for Brandon Phillips and then Suarez, who was recently moved out of the lower part of the order, to be able to get in there and do some damage behind Phillips. Billy's had an active night, and you just hope every time you see him have a night like this, you hope, all right, well, this is the beginning of something that maybe we're going to see him have some major improvements on. Hey, a quick happy birthday note to a young 13-year-old celebrating his birthday, staying up late watching the Reds game. He's a left-hander just like that guy, John Lamb. And maybe in 10 years or so, you'll see young Jack in the major leagues. So happy birthday, Jack.
Be really late right now.
Let's hope it's not a school night.
No, not yet. I don't think it is yet.
Well,
next week, isn't it?
There are some schools that have started. Those over in northern Kentucky have already put the pencil to the paper. Have a night, Billy.
How about that? Billy Hamilton from the right side. Long ball, number 4 on the year. He is 4 for 4 tonight. And the Reds at double figures, now leading 10-3.
Like Howell's trying to turn that ball over, but that doesn't turn over very much when it's up around letter high. Boy, oh boy, Billy Hamilton.
3 of the 4 home runs that he's hit this year have come from the right side. Reds get their second of this game. They've now hit 123 of them on the year, and the first career 4-hit game for Billy. Talking about birthdays, we should pass along now, an hour later, a belated happy birthday to J.J. Hoover. Turned 28 when this game started. Steve Bauman, the assistant trainer of the Reds, also celebrating a birthday today.
Popular day today.
Actually, it's now the 14th, so I can pass along an official happy birthday wish to our granddaughter, Sophie May Kelch, turning 1 year old today. Rollins comes up firing. Nice play for the veteran in the hole.
Shortstop number 7.
We're just on a roll with birthdays. My sister Andrea has a birthday on the 14th of August.
Boy, oh boy.
The things you come up with in a 10-3 ball game at 1 a.m.
Trying to look here. Billy Hamilton's last home run came against Madison Bumgarner on the 15th of May. So been a little while. A couple of days short of 3 months ago. Suarez, a drive to center, going to be over the head of the center fielder Peterson. He's going to get himself a double here. So Eugenio Suarez, 2 doubles and a home run tonight. Boy, the Reds have really busted it out. 14 hits now in this game.
Well, that's just such a nice, smooth swing, and you see him make that swing, and it doesn't seem like he would have the power behind it that he does. But that ball one short hops the center field wall, and just a very strong young man is Eugenio Suarez.
Action now in the Dodger bullpen again. Yimi Garcia, a right-hander. Quick meeting on the mound between Howell and A.J. Ellis. Ten runs, 14 hits Reds, 3 runs, 9 hits Dodgers. This first meeting between these two clubs. Late stages of the game. Looks like it's going to go the Reds' way. They can get it done here tonight. They would be gunning for their 4th win of this road trip tomorrow. Suarez going to be held at third by Jim Riggleman as Joey Votto gets the base hit. Now everyone except Marlon Byrd in the Red starting lineup has a hit tonight.
Third baseman number 21, Todd Frazier.
Make sure you make your reservations today for the Front Gate Outdoor Luxury Suite at Great American Ballpark. The suite features an all-inclusive food and beverage package, flat panel TVs, and luxury furnishings. Host your next group outing by calling the Reds Group Sales Department. Their number 513-765-7600, or you can visit reds.com/groups. Here comes Don Mattingly. He has gone through everybody seemingly down in that Dodger bullpen. They have used Avilan, Baez, Johnson, Howell, and now with Yimi Garcia appearing to enter this game, we'll get another relief pitcher, the 5th of the night for the Los Angeles Dodgers here this evening. Reds jumped out early. 2 runs in the 3rd inning. RBI single by Billy Hamilton. Played its barn hard. Now this one by Brandon Phillips made it 2-0 Reds against their former teammate Matt Latos. 2 more coming in the 5th now. RBI double by Phillips. This one down the right field line, and then Eugenio Suarez, the first of his 3 hits tonight. That plates Phillips, making it 5-0 Reds. Suarez, a big 3-run blast as part of a 4-run 6th inning. Home run number 7 for Suarez. And Billy Hamilton, a career night for him. 4 hits, 4 for 4. First time in his big league career, a 4-hit night, including that home run number 4. 10 runs, 15 hits for the Reds thus far. Lead this game 10-3. That's our Honda game summary. First pitch swinging Frazier. That one into the seats. New pitcher on is Yimi Garcia. '24-year-old out of the Dominican. 43rd appearance of the year. 3.79 ERA.
Just by looking at his numbers, you got to figure that he is a hard thrower, a strikeout artist. 55 strikeouts in 40 innings.
Off the glove of the catcher Ellis. Suarez stays put at 3rd. Down to 2nd base goes Joey Votto on a wild pitch. Rollins will dive and make the play, and they got him at first. Wow.
J-Roll's got something left.
We've seen some plays on both sides of the ledger from the shortstop spot here tonight. Suarez for the Reds, and a couple of times tonight from Jimmy Rollins of the Dodgers. Schaefer welcomed this year's Hall of Fame class to Canton. with the Enshrinement Festival's Timken Steel Grand Parade. Tape delayed coverage of the parade begins Sunday at 7:30 right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Big night offensively for the Reds. 10 runs, 15 hits. New pitcher on is Manny Parra. Out of the bullpen, he follows Matthews and Badenhop. Now the left-hander Parra. Crawford had a base hit in the 6th inning. His first at bat of the night. Came on earlier in the game as part of a double switch. Crawford been over here with the Dodgers since late August of 2012 when he was traded by the Red Sox along with Josh Beckett. Man who's playing first base, Adrian Gonzalez. Ivan DeJesus Jr. is now a member of the Reds, was also part of that deal. James Loney, Alan Webster went over to the Red Sox. Crawford still has 2 more years at $20+ million left on the big deal that he signed back in 2011 with Boston as a free agent. Gonna hang up for Bird, going to his left, and Marlin gets there.
That's the one thing it doesn't really seem like the Dodgers mind at all, which is the amount of money that they're paying their players. They got plenty of money. They're leading the league in attendance. They came in tonight having drawn already $2.7 million. So they'll easily go over $3 million again. They've got a sweet TV deal, even though a lot of people in the Los Angeles area aren't able to get the TV tuned to the right station to get the Dodgers. Depending on who your cable carrier is, there's a lot of controversy surrounding that, carriage fees and so on. But their deal is with Time Warner there. And they've got Clayton Kershaw on the books. As good a pitcher as he is, but they're paying him over $30 million a year.
Some of those deals they signed since the ownership that runs this club now took over. Some, like the Crawford deal, were deals that were inherited.
So if you talk to people surrounding the Dodgers, I mean, not just fans, but people who are the coaches, who are those that cover the Dodgers, I mean, anything less than a World Series title is going to be a disappointment here in Southern California for Dodgers and Dodger fans. I mean, that's how high they have set the bar of expectation, because they feel that they paid for it.
Well, they've been the top team in the West since the end of May. Well, they're 2.5 months into a lead, and they still lead the Dodgers by 3.5 at the start of the day. Lead the Giants, I should say, and the Giants did win tonight 3-1, so they could get within 2.5. Peterson went down there, but that ball was not as close as it looked. Back to the dugout goes Jock Peterson, striking out for the first time tonight.
Catcher number 17.
2 out.
We like that strikeout so much by Manny Parra that we will call that our flamethrower of the night, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce at 94 miles an hour.
Right into center on this one by Ellis, but Billy Hamilton is there. Manny Parra, the first perfect inning of the night, turned in by a Reds pitcher. Save big money at Menards and all your home improvement needs. And your local Toyota dealers, proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. Game 2 of this series comes up here tomorrow night. Make sure you're ready for Reds action 30 minutes prior to the start with Reds Live pregame on Fox Sports Ohio, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. 10:10 tomorrow, 9:30 with Reds Live. Very interesting pitching matchup tomorrow. The young left-hander Alex Wood against 25-year-old lefty John Lamb, acquired from Kansas City in the Johnny Cueto deal. Makes his big league debut for the Redlegs. You won't want to miss it. That did not look anything like that. That little headshot we showed, and John Lamb live in the Reds dugout. Bruce leads it off here in the 9th inning. Same pitcher out there for the Dodgers, Yimi Garcia.
Well, John Lamb is probably sitting in that Reds dugout thinking, 10 runs, 15 hits tonight. Don't forget to save a little bit for the left-hander tomorrow now, guys.
Hernandez will throw out Bruce. Out number 1 in the 9th inning. And you look up and down the Reds lineup tonight. Phillips has 2 hits. Suarez has 3. Votto got 1 his last time up. Frazier a couple. Bruce had a hit in the 7th. Tucker Barnhart a hit early. Billy Hamilton 4 for 4. Marlon Byrd coming up there now, 0 for 3 with a sac fly. The only Red regular in the lineup tonight that did not come up with a base hit yet. He's up there now. $47,216 here at Dodger Stadium tonight. 47,216. Many have packed it in for the evening. May have broken his bat. That'll go 1-3 for out number 2. So Byrd ends the night 0 for 4.
Yeah, still hustles down the line every time he puts the ball in play. I mean, he really didn't have a chance of beating that ball out, but you'd never know that by watching the way he ran down the baseline. And here you are in a 10-3 ball game.
You can never accuse him not playing hard all the time, that's for sure. Here's now Tucker Barnhart. Reds went down in the second inning in order against Latos. That is the only time they've done that tonight. Yimi Garcia trying to do it here in the ninth. Tough to beat the Dodgers here at home. They come into this game 39-19 here at Dodger Stadium this year. The third best home record in the National League. Cardinals at 42-16. The Yankees, pardon me, the Mets at 41-18. And the Dodgers at 39-19. Another 1-3 put out. Reds go in order for only the second time tonight. So we are set up for the bottom of the ninth. Reds up by 7. Miller Lite, a couple of them really. How about this defensive gem by Suarez on the short hop pick, step and throw, double play, and then of course this bomb, a 3-run homer in the 6th inning by Suarez, his 7th of the year. 4 RBIs tonight for him, 29 on the year, just over 2 months worth of play. So one on the defensive side, one on the offensive side are Miller time moments of the night. Both turned in by the 24-year-old Eugenio Suarez.
Number 10, Justin Turner.
Pedro Villarreal will come on and try to close this one out for the Redlegs. Reds won only 1 game here last year. In fact, they've only won 1 game each of the last 3 years out here since they swept the Dodgers in a 3-game series in June of 2011. 1-2 last year, 1-3 in 13, 1-2 in 12. Getting off to what looks like a good start in this series here tonight. Turner batting out of the 9 spot is 1 for 2. Off the DL today. He had that leg infection Chris was talking about earlier. Had him on the shelf. Just over 2 weeks. We should figure to see him in the lineup at third base tomorrow night. Like the Dodgers version of Jason Worth. Long beard, long hair. Jimmy Rollins on deck. Then Kike Hernandez, 9-1-2 for the Dodgers against Villarreal. Sampson will go to 2-1 with a win. Latos 4-9 overall and 0-2 in 4 starts for the Dodgers with a loss. Actually 3 starts for the Dodgers. One pretty good one. And then the last 2 at Pittsburgh and here against the Reds, not so good. Turner hanging in there. Four-game series out here, so you have a chance to see almost everybody in the rotation. The Reds will not see Clayton Kershaw, who pitched yesterday. They will see Zach Greinke on Sunday afternoon. Started the All-Star game at Great American Ballpark this year. Reds faithful hanging in there tonight. Phillips to his right will make this play, and Turner is the first out here in the ninth. You know, just looking at the National League, thinking about Dodger Stadium, I guess this would be the second oldest place in the National League other than Wrigley Field.
Really hard to believe that it is the second oldest stadium in the National League. I mean, they keep it's been rejuvenated a few times. This area in front of home plate here has been changed around over the years to add a lot of premium box seats. Of course, they've got new scoreboards here. They brought the fences in a little bit.
Bruce plays that on a hop and a base hit for Rollins.
I'm not sure how much you can hear of it at home, but they have a new improved sound system. Seemingly every time we come to the ballpark, they've added a few extra speakers out there.
You know, and I'm just looking at
That's what you need in the back of your ride there, Jim.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be just cruising up and down. And
how about that? How about having those in the trunk of your car? That'd be something. I think I've heard cars that have those in them. You know, but just looking at other National League and American League stadiums, this may be the third with Fenway Park and Wrigley Field and then Dodger Stadium. Third oldest of all. Sure doesn't look it.
And they keep it so clean and so well upkept. I mean, you walk around here, even after a ball game, it's like the floors are shining. Really a nice place to come. And tomorrow night starter Lamb, boy, he'll be thinking about that the rest of his life. Not only did he grow up only a half hour from Dodger Stadium, he probably munched on a few dozen Dodger dogs along the way.
Something that everybody always talks about.
First night I've ever seen you up here where you went wolfing down a couple of those around the 7th inning.
Well, do that on the radio side, but on the TV side, you got to restrain yourself until afterwards. Yeah, that's one of the first things, though, that people say when said you went to Dodger Stadium, or as a fan, hey, I went out to Dodger Stadium. Did you have a Dodger dog?
And you would say, no, but I brought you one.
I got it the first night I was there. I've been saving it for you. And I don't know why my suitcase smells like it does. Couple of hits tonight for Kike Hernandez. for Hernandez. The Dodgers mounting a little rally here in the 9th inning, down by 7. Base hit Rollins, base hit Hernandez.
You know, I doubt that there's anybody in the Reds dugout worried about the outcome of the ball game, but if you're Pedro Villarreal, you're worried about giving up anything. I mean, sometimes it's difficult to come into a game like this where, you know, half the stadium has gone home. Most of the guys are just relaxed up there, but you're grinding it out. You don't want to give up a run. It affects your earned run average. You don't want to leave a bad taste in anybody's mouth about what they think of when they think of Pedro Villarreal. So you're looking to put a 0 up there.
Alex Guerrero is in the on-deck circle. 4 spot comes up. He'll hit for Yimi Garcia. 2 on, 1 out. 10-3 Reds, bottom of the 9th. Gonzalez tonight has a hit, has an RBI. There's Garcia, pardon me, Guerrero, who's on deck. Suarez a long way out, and boy, he does that with ease, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, that was a nice catch, but a really nice pitch by Pedro Villarreal. Adrian Gonzalez, like most sluggers, really likes to get those arms out there. He'd much prefer a pitch out on the outer third of the plate, and Villarreal comes right inside. Look where that glove is for Tucker Barnhart, and right there on it. Boy, it's hard to get the bat head on that pitch.
Now Alex Guerrero will bat for Yimi Garcia with 2 on and 2 out. Guerrero at .238 with 11 home runs this year. Reds looking for the final out here in the bottom of the 9th. 3 pinch hit home runs this year for Alex Guerrero. Reds just picked up their first of the season in San Diego off the bat of Jason Bourgeois. This fellow has 3 of them himself this season. Of course, that's nothing new from a Reds perspective. When Chris Heisey was with this club, he had 4 of them last year. Heisey was with this Dodgers team earlier this year. Is recently released and signed by Toronto.
Yeah, he was in the news yesterday, I think. He signed that deal yesterday, and I also saw the Drew Stubbs designated yesterday. A couple of former Reds on the move.
And I think Heisey was assigned to Buffalo, so he would play conceivably against Louisville. Going to make the play on this ball, and game 1 of this series goes to the Reds. They are victorious by the final score of 10-3. Suarez, a big night defensively and offensively. A home run for him. Made some big plays. Kivas Sampson gets the win. His second in a row. He's 2-1. 5 innings with a 2-run baseball. And Matt Latos, the former Red, suffers the loss. Reds get to him for 5 runs in 4 2/3 innings, and the Reds now